After an extra week off, Hip to the Games is back this week. Lots of stuff has been going on. The Kendrick versus Drake beef has fizzled out. Rhapsody and Tierra Whack have recently dropped projects themselves. Snoop Dogg is taking over Death Row and got the Dog Pound back together, dropping a new album. Eminem just dropped a new single. The WNBA is rolling. We got rookies balling. Veterans showing that they haven't lost a step. And as much as I would love to get into it all, the NBA playoffs has reached its final stage. And I figured it would be a great time to make good on my promise to you. As the NBA finals are set between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics, I wanted to bring some extra fun, some extra help, and analysis of the series ahead, which means that finally, not just coming back to the podcast, but making their YouTube debuts. Joining me for a special NBA Finals preview are my guys, Devaughn and Johnny. They'll help provide an inside look at where these two teams stand on the big stage as we discuss matchups, strengths, weaknesses, and more. So we def got an exciting show in store, especially now. I think that you'll actually be able to see us interact with the video version if you're watching as opposed to listening on audio. So without further ado, fellas, it's a little different this year. You know how we come together each year, but y'all ready for year 4? You know how we feeling? Are we camera ready?
Doing good, man. Hey, hello, what's up, YouTube?
On the Tizu.
Yo, yeah, every day, every day. Let's get it, y'all. Let's get it. Welcome to Hip to the Games, the podcast for you, the basketball junkie and the hip hop head. I'm your host, Desmond, and I too have had hoop dreams and enjoy the beautiful genre of hip hop and its history. Together, we will enjoy some of the greatest albums, songs, artists, players, moments, teams, and so much more, while even mixing the two on occasion, all in my hope that you remember why you love both or either of these to begin with. You'll soon understand that Hip to the Games is more than just a podcast. It's a lifestyle. And if you were looking for a platform that combines both basketball and hip hop, you've come to the right place. All right, welcome to this episode of Hip to the Games. If you happen to be new here, first off, welcome. You are tuning in at a great time. If you're a loyal listener, I know you got your popcorn ready because my guys are certainly going to bring it today. But first things first, as always, I got to give a special shout out to the creative director, Jesus Christ, for another H2DG episode. And for these two gentlemen being in my life, you know, being with me today, as it's always a blessing to get in front of this microphone and do what he's put in me to do. And second, the home team. You see the logo in one of these corners here, my 19 Media Group family, for the platform to represent this dope network full of amazing independent podcasters. Tap in with all the different shows around sports, music, culture, and show some love. You know, any listens, views, comments, shares, reviews, ratings, merch support, all of it is felt and your support is greatly appreciated. All right, so for today's episode, I first want to remind you that nobody in here has a dog in the fight. All right. No Clippers, no Bulls, you know, and besides, I think at our core, I think I could speak for all of us when I say we are just huge, genuine NBA fans. So whether you would disagree or agree with anything we're going to say today, you're going to hear some genuine analysis. All right. We ain't got no dog in the fight. Now, fellas, we saw the Boston Celtics pretty much cruise through the regular season. They were pretty much the league's best team most of the season. I know Minnesota had a hot start. Denver was in that conversation. OKC was in that conversation. But really, for most of the year, it was the Boston Celtics. And I think they've only continued their postseason success over the years. While they haven't won a chip since 2008, they have almost perennially been an Eastern Conference Finals contender. And that's a testament, I think, to their franchise culture and tradition of being a winning team. In fact, I said it myself in a previous episode, right? Like, it just seems like it's Boston's year this year. And they are, in fact, one step closer towards making that happen. On the other side, we got the Mavericks, who've pretty much, you know, used 2 consecutive trade deadlines to get to this point. You know, they officially entered a new era in 2018 with the draft day trade for Luka Doncic, who quickly showed how he was ready to take the torch from Dirk Nowitzki and keep the Mavericks as a team to watch in the West. But In the recent years, there's been controversy surrounding the makeup of the team and whether or not Luka could lead this team to success on his own. And if the front office could even get him some help. My guys know this, and I think you know this. I'm old school and I believe in patience. And I think Denver saw the fruit of that last year. I think the Warriors saw the fruit of that again in 2022, right? Climbing up the mountain, falling, and then having to climb back up again. And I think the Mavericks have once again proven that patience works. Patience is a virtue. And, to get on my soapbox real quick, teams don't want to trust the journey nowadays to get to where they want to be. Look at Dallas. They were willing to trade for Kyrie Irving and then take that L of coming from the 3rd seed to the 11th seed out of the playoffs. And then still they held it together. They entered this season to lay the groundwork and get a full season with him. And then once again, right, trade deadline comes, they get Daniel Gafford, they get PJ Washington, combined with other pickups in the offseason like Derek Jones and Derek Lively. The Mavs really, they finally seem to get Luka some help that could give them a deep run in the playoffs, and we're seeing that this year. And I think let's not get it twisted either. Dallas has great culture. We're going to talk about Celtics culture, Celtic pride, and the legendary franchise that they are, but Dallas is great as well. A lot of their former players are still around the organization, and I think you can see the peace that Kyrie Irving specifically has had because of that culture. He's really found a home here. So I think it's really been a great fit, and I'm not surprised by their success in the slightest. So I say all this to say and ask you both. What are y'all's thoughts on each of these teams' journeys to this point? Was this something that you expected from them? Did you see these teams being in the finals? And you can take this from their playoff journey or just the entire season. Like, how do you guys see their journeys up to this point?
Okay. I'll start off with the first question. Vaughn, you got it with the second answer then. So with Boston, man, I think with how they came through with the intensity, they had such a heartbreak here since, with the Warriors, if it was last year, 2 years ago. I think they were always trying to just find their identity. So bringing in Drew Holiday was such a huge pickup for them. A pickup that I don't think people understood because he's off the ball, but offensively, he showed signs. In the playoffs, he's been almost their second go-to guy, and sometimes during the Cleveland series. So, bringing in Kristaps Porzingis, and not only bringing in a Porzingis, but bringing in a Porzingis who wants to win. How many times have he been in a winning situation outside of just his rookie year in New York when he was feeling like a superstar? So
feeling like a superstar.
Feels great, And so I think the morale in Boston, they're feeling green, they're feeling great, and they've had time to not only rest, but they have a rotation to where their 3rd string looks ready, and I think a story that people don't remember is Peyton Pritchard. He wanted out last year. He went to the media and spoke, "I do not want to be here." But Joe Mazulla and the staff just sold them in. And now they got rotational players who want to stay on the bench and not play, but still love the green, and that's championship mentality. That's something you can't drop, And so with Dallas, I wouldn't say I'm surprised, but they have winners on that team. PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford. Those are guys that I'm really glad they picked up because if we watched Hornets games or Washington games, those are guys that played every night. You want the guys who play every night that care about the W, but also care about wanting to win as well. And even though if they're not winning, they're getting better. So now that they're in a winning, organization mentality, I think it's only meshing well. They didn't have to go get flashy. They didn't have to go do too much, but they got the right pieces. So I think right now it's going to be an exciting finals. Like this is, to me, I'm excited. I feel like a kid when it's Christmas the night before. And so I'm feeling good.
Yeah, real quick, Johnny, that's a great point that you mentioned that, PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford are winners because obviously you look at their teams and it's like somebody would have heard you said that and be like, they're not winners. How you on the Wizards and the Hornets and you're a winner? But to your point, it's their attitude. They came night in and night out and played like they wanted to win. And they were kind of rewarded for their patience or their endurance, if you will, right? Like playing for those poverty franchises. You know what I'm saying? They got blessed by the trade deadline and now they can really put that energy towards a winning situation, and they're seeing the fruit of that. So I love that you made that point right there. But Devaughn, what about you, man? Because I know we've talked off camera, and I know you were kind of, I feel like, a little bit surprised. Don't let me put words in your mouth, but I feel like you were a little bit surprised by the Mavericks this year. But talk about both of those teams, like Johnny did.
Yeah, those are all really good points, man, especially about Porzingis and Gafford and those guys. And like just going back real quick to like the whole poverty franchise thing, like I think sometimes like low key, especially for young players, like those opportunities can be really good developmental opportunities. Like, it shows, especially those contending teams, like, hey, if you can stick with it on a situation like that and play that well, be that efficient, like just imagine what you're going to do on a team that can really get the most out of you. And so,
Increases
yeah, so
that
I
value a
think,
little bit.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, the thing, so with Dallas for me, it was just, I think part of it just overall the tough Western Conference. The Western Conference has always been pretty tough, especially in the recent years. It's like always the Lakers, the Warriors, those teams are always the favorites. But this year there was a lot of shakeup. And I felt like I think there was a part of me that was still waiting to see how this, like the Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic pairing would fare out, and if Dallas did enough in the offseason to get to that point, because we talking about the finals, and especially if you haven't made that deep of a run in recent years, like for some teams that can be a little bit of a steep hill, but they stuck through it, and they really got a system together where it's working and they're cooking. So it's really cool to see Dallas kind of have that patience in that way, continue to build Luka and just give him somebody who's one of the best players in the world, like right next to him. Who is still kind of at a point in his career where he's I feel like he's a little more unselfish. You get to that point where you get older and certain things you kind of let go, that you don't really like, accolades and stuff that you don't really, that you care more about when you're younger. So it's really cool to see Kyrie step into that. And yeah, they're a really good team. They're a really good team. And then I think for Boston, um, for this season, I feel like a lot of those East teams, man, they just dealt with injuries. They dealt with injuries. A lot of guys went down. Some of it has been the competition. There was a lot of teams with like who are either at flirting around 500 or below it. And I think not to say that for Boston it was like a cakewalk, but I don't want to be like disrespectful to all the other teams, but a lot of that I think did kind of play in, where there was a probably smoother pathway than other teams, to get to this point. But yeah, like Johnny said, that Drew pickup was absolutely huge. We all seen what he did, throughout his career, especially with the Bucks, when they won in 2021. So I think Boston knew that that is the kind of guy we need if we're going to get back, especially after losing somebody like Marcus Smart. You literally got the next best option.
Yeah.
And you can't complain. You can't complain with that. So yeah, that's my thing with Boston. And I think Johnny made a great point about Porzingis. And kind of what we were saying about the whole developmental thing. Like I think Kristaps needed to go through that Wizards experience and that Dallas experience to get, to a team like the Celtics, where now, he's on a contender, and he's still dealt with some injuries, but I think, he's been fairly healthier than he has been in his early days. So yeah.
He had a career year last year. People
Yeah,
forget that.
exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So good thoughts from both of you guys. I think you can generally say we're probably a little bit more surprised with the Mavericks than the Celtics, and that even makes me think too, y'all. Is it just me, or were you getting kind of vibes of like 2013, 2014? Like I remember literally in 2013 when the Miami Heat were accepting their championship trophy after that game 7 versus San Antonio, I was like, this is literally going to be the finals next year. Like, we have to get ready for this. And I think to me, Boston was kind of on that same thing. Like, okay, they're going to be the best team in the East, and they are probably going to make the finals. Like, so it's almost like, imagine how they must feel. It's like you play 82 games plus the playoffs, and it's like nothing, right? Like, am I the only one that feels that way? It's like, okay, y'all did that. This is what really matters. Getting back here.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think with Boston, it's just one of those situations where they be ready from the jump. They know like that's when the real season starts. Like, they're a talented team. Like, as we've said, they're always going to be, at least at this point, at the way that team is. Like, they're always expected and going to be, at the top, and probably should be number one in the East. Like bare minimum. So, and I'm sure the fans expect it too. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, bro, I definitely feel you about that. Like, because you think about the last few years, like 2022, they made the finals. 2023, I still to this day, they should have been in the finals. They let that one slip for real. And now you are able to get back in 2024. That's 3 straight years. So like we kind of know what to expect with the way the East has been shaping up. So yeah, it's really no surprise that the Celtics are right back in it.
Johnny, you feel the same way?
Oh yes, sir. I mean, they probably just been anxious from the start of the season. Boston, they're very well seasoned, but I think a lot of people forget that they were considering firing Joe Mazzulla
That's
right
what I
after.
be saying. Yeah.
Like a lot of people forget that because we saw how it was. We saw how the news was. Like they didn't know, but he didn't have his staff, and so Brad Stevens always did say, I at least should give him a fair shot with his surroundings.
Mm.
Imagine walking into a house and you don't know what's behind the door. And so now they actually gave him a description. He knows how much rent is this time. He knows who's sleeping in what room. And so like now it's a better feeling. So it's been very thought out, but they've been executing well. And I just can't say nothing about that.
And Johnny, that's a great segue because I did kind of want to touch on the coaching matchup real quick. This is Joe Mazzulla's first finals with his team, because the last time the Celtics were here, it was Ime Udoka. And I think he, much like his players, much like what Johnny was alluding to, there's some pressure to perform. And I think even what Devaughn was alluding to because of the heartbreak over the past couple of years, like, there was some pressure because many thought the Celtics should move on from him, after last year's defeat. I think critics felt like he was too chill, in all honesty. Like he was very even keel, even when they lost, like they're down 3-0 and he's just keeping perspective, right? And media, they don't like that because they want the soundbite, right? They want you to panic because your panic is going to create a conflict, and conflict creates clicks, right? So I think they were off put by that. However, I'm of the notion that he recognizes that he can only control what he can, always even keel. And, that makes me think, like, what do you guys want to see from him strategy wise? Because mind you, he's more offensively minded than defensively minded, right? Ime Udoka was like, we're gonna defend. Like offense, I got two all-stars that are gonna take care of this. Like let's play defense. To me, it's the opposite. Hence why they got Drew Holiday and Porzingis, right? I think they're really trying to go offense first. And I think the Celtics, they struggle with turnovers and shot selection when they face the Warriors. So I think they want to change that this time around. Personally, I would like to see him put Tatum and Brown in more post-up situations or off-screen situations so they don't always have to handle the rock. That's something I really want to see from the jump. But, what do you guys think about Joe Mazzulla and maybe his strategy in this series versus Dallas?
I mean, with what I've been seeing, at least from the last series, I wouldn't say I was impressed with their performance by the Pacers, because in ways they look very seasoned. They look ready. They look minded, and that chill aspect came up. But when it came to offensive game plays, it was a lot of one-on-one situations.
Mm.
And the thing is with one-on-one, it's always good, but just like in a regular game of 21, you lose some, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the Pacers didn't have really the execution to react
Yeah, they
off
couldn't
of
match it. Yeah.
one-on-one. The
Hmm.
thing is, Dallas have went through the Clippers. They've went through,
Yes.
I mean, the second round, they went through the Thunder. Now they just finished Minnesota. All those teams were defensive minded before offense. So what I'm saying is that Dallas is used to dry spells and reacting off missed shots.
Ooh. Okay.
So that's where I'm thinking. Does Mazulla do rotations to where Brown and Tatum is either always in, so one of them is not ever sitting down, And do we actually see a New Orleans Drew Holiday? Because I think
Ooh.
we may need to see that. We may need to see that.
He's had a rough playoffs, Johnny. I want to see it too. From a fan perspective, I want to see it too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm really interested to see Vaughn's point on this because he always gives me an analysis that I don't see it.
And
So Vaughn,
likewise, I think likewise, Johnny.
so Vaughn, open the door. Tell me what you feeling, Vaughn.
No, hey Johnny, you guys are spot on about Drew Holiday, man. I feel like he hasn't had his moment yet, really. In these postseasons, like especially, when you think about when he was going off in with the Bucks in the last couple series, like
In
just
Brooklyn. Yeah, he
raining.
had
Yeah.
that crazy game 7 or whatever it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like if there's anybody that is, like if I had to pick an impact player for this series, at least on Boston's side, it is Drew Holiday. Like I feel like he hasn't had his moment yet, and now is the time I think that can happen. Johnny made some really good points, but thing with Boston for me is what do I always be saying is they be keeping teams around. And what Johnny just said, it does make me a little bit concerned that, with Dallas and their ability to respond, the minute you slip up, they gonna take full advantage. They gonna take full advantage because the way that Luka plays, he has that killer instinct. Kyrie does, and as you were mentioning post work, that's one dude that knows that game heavy, and I think the thing with Boston is the one-on-one play. Like I feel like because they know they have Jalen and Jason, they rely on them so much to bail them out of those situations, and it's kind of tough to watch sometimes. So I would have to agree with Johnny. To be honest with you, I would love to see them maybe use a little bit more ball movement. The thing I've always thought too is in ways like they could use that bench depth that they do have a little bit more. Like I would like to see Peyton Pritchard a lot more. I would like to see, we've seen what Derek White was doing. There were calls for him to be an All-Star this year, and he
Mhm.
probably almost made it. But
Yeah.
like you have others, as you say, Des, you have others that can help you where it doesn't have to just be Jalen and Jason as a focal point. Because I have some of the same concerns I did with Minnesota. When it's just Anthony Edwards, who and Karl Anthony Towns is going 6 of 20 from the field. Like you ain't really got nobody else that can help you guys, play catch up or increase leads when you need them to. Like
Nasty Nas Reed can only do so much.
yeah, yeah. Like who's gonna help you in Boston? I think you got a great like crafty scoring point guard in Peyton Pritchard. You have an amazing like two-way playmaker in Derek White. Obviously we mentioned Drew Holiday, Chris Stapps. Like I feel like they really gotta get the most out of that sponge. In that team that they have if they're gonna win this series.
And I think
So
what's I just want to say what's tough about that, I think, is that Devaughn, you make a great point, and I think that's the hardest part if you're Joe Mazzulla, because it's like they thrive off the three ball. Like I know y'all have seen, I've seen it versus Miami, you've seen it versus Cleveland, you've seen it versus Indy. For example, Sam Hauser will come in the game and knock down 3 straight corner threes. So now it's like, okay, we're driving and kicking until somebody misses. But then
Yeah.
it's like, well, dang, now we're falling in love with the three. If we miss, like you said, Devaughn, that's going to keep teams around. And I think that's exactly why they lost to Golden State, falling in love with the three. They will shoot threes till their arms hurt. And it's like, you don't always want to do that, especially when you got two great half court players. So Devaughn, I definitely see kind of that you're hinting that there needs to be a little bit more operation wise. There needs to be a little bit more playmaking, if that makes sense. Because I think even to your point about Peyton Pritchard, a lot of his comes off threes as well. Every now and then he'll get his dribble on and do something special, but most times it's probably going to be a spot up 3-pointer. And I think, Devaughn, what you're saying is if they can unlock a little bit more of the if Peyton Pritchard can do a little bit of 2011 JJ Barea, they might be even better. I think that's what you mean, Devaughn. Yeah.
ooh,
That's a really good comparison, Desi. Yeah, yeah.
oh, hey,
Yeah.
so Devon, when you say impact player,
Mhm.
who would they benefit more from? A better series from Derek White or Drew Holiday? because Derek White offensively carries possibly maybe 40% of that offense over there. He averaged what, 17 in that series versus what, Indy? And so no, it wasn't Indy, the first versus Miami. And so like who would you say they need more of?
I would say with this series, these matchups, I would probably say Drew. I would probably say Drew just
I
because
agree.
his two-way abilities. Everybody says he's probably the toughest defender. A lot of point guards be saying Drew Holiday is one of the first people they mentioned. And I feel like with his ability to potentially keep at least Kyrie Irving quiet in those moments, he's somebody where, when he is, full 100, when he is on his game, he can really help Boston kind of stay within the game in that way, so they don't, throw it away as much. So I think, yeah, if I had to choose, I would definitely say Drew Holiday. Even on the offensive end, if as Des was saying about the 3-point shot, if those shots aren't going down, you have another option. He can definitely knock down an open one when he gets them. Sometimes can be a little streaky, but I think that's just the name of the game. You ain't gonna make them all, but yeah, I would say Drew Holiday for sure.
And just to go on that further, Devaughn, I know that he's going to do a solid job defensively, but he's an impact player because he needs to be on one. Like I said, I hate to, I hate to like sit up here like a box score watcher, but if you look at, I'm not saying it's tour dates, but if you look at Drew Holiday's numbers, very quiet. Like he's had some double doubles here and there. He's had some nice games, right? Like shooting is just not the only way you can impact the game. But again, given his talent and his ability, it's like I would love to see he can still play better. That's the scary thing. He can still play
Yeah,
better. So I think for him, it's really offensively.
yeah, agreed.
So let's talk about the flip side of that then, because let's keep in mind Dallas got Jay Kidd now, and Jay Kidd went 1-2 as a player in the NBA Finals. And what team did he win one for? Same one he's coaching. So this technically ain't really his first rodeo, even if it is as a coach. And I think similar to how he was as a player, I think Kevin Garnett made a great point about this too. You see his influence. Jason Kidd has been able to do what a lot of coaches try to do and honestly fail at it sometimes. But because he has Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, it's easier for him to put his Jason Kidd, the player, into them and not just be the coach. So when they're operating out of pick and rolls and stuff like that, Kevin Garnett was saying how like he sees how Jason Kidd used to hoop in the way that they're playing. And I think that's been tremendous for a guard duo like them. And I think he's a great thinker, right? Obviously, he was one of the best point guards of our era. Great adjustment maker. But and as a Mavs team that nobody really expected to play defense, they've been playing some stout defense. All right, Johnny, I apologize, brother, but they had your Clippers in jail. they
Telling.
had your they had
We
your
was,
team
we
in
was locked up.
Rikers.
We was locked up. He said
so so I think he's not only been able to establish some offense in this team, but really some defense. And I think especially when we're talking Luka and Kyrie, dare I say it, y'all, they've been trading haymakers like Kobe and Shaq, if I'm honest. Like they've shown to play really good defense versus the stars. Like I said, on the Clippers, versus a guy like Anthony Edwards, SGA, right? They forced SGA to pretty much, hey, you do this by yourself, brother. We'll be all right in 7 games as long as you doing it by yourself. So, what kind of things do y'all think Kidd has in store for this Celtics team? I have some thoughts, but I would love to hear y'all's first.
I don't think Jason Kidd has gotten enough credit for the way he's coached this team and maybe throughout. Like I have to give it to him. Like at least in my eyes, like I don't feel like we really talk about him enough and the way he's been able to be successful. So huge props to him. But yeah, I mean you said it, Des. I think like his experience, like it's the way that you can have like a former player be a coach and that former player be a good coach, like
Right.
that's a really good combination. And Dallas has something special right there. And I think probably his style, really went into some of those acquisitions that they got. So it was it's probably been very well crafted. from the inside and very intentional about who they wanted on this team and who they knew they needed to get this far. So yeah, man, I think if anything, I would just love to see maybe if like what is the next level they can reach, because you got the title on the line. Like, I know obviously every team has their strengths and their weaknesses. Like, how are you going to build on your weaknesses, to really become like a serious contending team in the West? So like, if anything, I'm kind of just sitting back and ready to see, how they play a team like this, especially with Luka's first time being on this stage. Almost like finally in a way, right? Even though he's only been it's been 6 years, something like that, like 6 years in the league. Like he's finally at that stage where he can really kind of, shut up the haters in a way. And probably Jason Kidd too, because I think in the past with his coaching jobs, like he's been close, he's had some good teams, but this one is probably, the best by far. So I'm just ready to see how they really, get the most out of everybody on the biggest stage.
I like that. I think that's fair to say, Devaughn. I think that shows the kind of team that they have, right? Like this is a big opportunity for everybody. And they've shown that there's strength in their numbers. So I feel that.
Yeah, I mean, so going into that, I think the points that you guys made was outstanding, especially with the coaches. Something I was just thinking of with the coaching aspect, the really big benefit with Jason Kidd becoming a coach, right? It's that he was able to he was able to play in this generation and jump straight into coaching.
He was old, but you're right. You're right.
Yeah. a lot of these coaches in the NBA, yes, they have history. Jock Bond, he played, they have history. Billy Donovan played, they played, but they didn't play against a Curry. They're still thinking the mindset of Michael Jordan, Kobe. Like Jason Kidd got to experience, Curry. He saw young Clay.
That's a good point, Johnny.
Like, in a way, we're very lucky to see him. He's like the OG at the YMCA whispering in our ear how to play these older guys because he was playing with them last week. You know what I mean? So I think that really came out during the Oklahoma series. And just like you said, SGA, hey, he showed, he was, second place in MVP voting. His team didn't show up, though. And maybe that's just experience, maybe, who knows. But I think with this series, I think they're going to be ready. Because I say that because Luka, yes, this is his first NBA Finals, but I'm pretty sure he won about 3 or 4 over there in Spain. Real Madrid. He's been playing what? He's been playing 13. When you play since you're 13, he's about maybe 25 now. It's
well. I was gonna say low key. I think he's a little younger than us.
Yeah, he might be. We need to get him on hit to the game. But like, when it's like this. Think about being a chef and you work at a different restaurant out of state, but now you go to a new state. That doesn't mean you forgot how to cook. And so
he chopping it up,
huh? And so I truly think Luka will be okay, and I think personally Kyrie will have a type of fire under him because every time Kyrie has played Boston, it seemed like that's the ESPN segment of the night. We remember how his antics, when he played with Brooklyn, with the finger and just the attitude, it's something personal. And so I think that fire will ignite the team. But I mean, I have concerns of people like, Josh Green, the young guys, PJ, yes, they're hungry, but what are you going to do when your shot's not falling, man? And we need it to fall for at least these 4 games. And so, my question to y'all, y'all can answer it. With PJ being such a big guy, I think he's actually been the 3rd most important player on that team. Sometimes 100%. Second, because he's 100%. Made those 43s in the 4th quarter each series. That has you like, man, how much do you lean on Derrick Jones Jr. offensively? Because it seems like they fend off him with corner 3s. You see that? So like, do you look to have that with him, or what do you want from him? What are you guys thinking?
I don't. I'm looking at you and I'm expecting you to cut back door. That's my thing. Like dunker spot. I don't need you. I don't need you there. I need you in the dunker spot. Now, granted, he's been able to show that he can knock down some corner 3s, but Devaughn can attest to this. We just had him in Chicago. He's great. He's one of the best small ball fours. I would say one of the best underrated small ball fours in the entire league because he plays that role so well. So my thing, Johnny, to answer your question, I'm not looking if I'm on my football, that's not my first read. My first read is the dunker spot, but I will hit you in the corner if you're open. But I would rather you sit in that dunker spot.
Yeah, I would agree, Des. I was going exactly there, man. I was like, as a cutter,
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like there's no is and this is no diss.
Right.
This is, but I feel like his strengths, he is somebody. He's got that wiry frame. If you got your head turned, he can slip right behind you. He can slip right behind you and get into that dunker spot. So
Yep.
I feel like obviously just helping crashing the boards, getting in that dunker spot, and maybe the occasional 3-point shot because obviously everybody needs it nowadays.
Yeah.
And,
I don't need you.
He's capable. So yeah,
I don't need you open or close. You can come and just do my middle shift right here. I need I don't midday shift. Midday shift.
I like that. I like that. I like that. Dallas has a lot of middayers, and so but they're gonna need somebody to play overtime because they're gonna need
Ooh.
somebody. So that's kind of my next question. Who's gonna be that guy for Dallas this series to where you say, man, I didn't see that one coming?
I got one. I got one. I got one. I
Okay.
wouldn't put all my money on it, but I put a little bit towards it. Maxi Kleber. I think is he still hurt? Is he still hurt or
No,
no?
he came back 2 games
Okay.
ago.
Yeah. He's very hit or miss. And that's the thing to your point, Johnny. In a series like this, I need you to be hitting. I need you to be hitting. So, yeah.
that's a good one.
I kind of want to say Maxi Kleber. I really do.
I was thinking Dante Exum.
Oh,
I was
Ooh.
thinking Dante Exum. I think
ooh.
I remember that game. I don't even remember who it was, but he went off. He went. I don't know what was it, like 7 to 9 from three. Something
Yeah,
crazy.
that TNT game.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
that dude hit you with a draw four. You didn't see it coming.
yeah, like ever since that game, I feel like if we're bringing it up, that was probably one of the Mavericks games where it did kind of wake me up to the team that they had, and
Absolutely.
why they have Dante Exum and what he's able to do, and so I think Maxi's a good one too though. So we could that could probably be one answer: Maxi Kleber and Dante Exum.
Okay,
I,
okay. Oh,
I just want to keep it moving as we continue because the main thing while I just kind of want to Johnny, I know you have some thoughts, but
no, you're good.
I want to touch on the last part of this coaching. The thing I've been telling everybody is this. Dallas, I don't think if y'all been paying attention, Dallas has been sending 3 or even 4 bodies in the paint. A hobbled Kawhi Leonard, and then Paul George, they did not know what the heck to do. I don't think they've seen defense that stiff since their younger years, right? And they did this, and then I think Jason Kidd saw that and said, "I'm doing that exact same thing to Anthony Edwards." And again, I've been watching, and you see, I think again, Gilbert Arenas pointed this out. They forced it. They had it so bad. Anthony Edwards, he would go to attack a seam like he should, but he would panic, take it back all the way out behind the 3-point line as if to like reset. And it's like he wasted that energy. He probably should have attacked that seam, maybe hit a pump fake fadeaway, pump fake dish to somebody else. But instead, he was going back behind the 3-point line, right? Dallas's defense, their ability to collapse the lane has given everybody and their mama fits this playoffs. It was Anthony Edwards, it was Paul George, it was Kawhi Leonard, it was we seen it SGA, right? SGA gonna do his thing because he got mid-range game. He has elite mid-range skills, so he gonna get his buckets. But again, they're forcing a wall, and Dallas is basically saying, we're not giving you any free throws. We're gonna make you take mid-range jump shots. We'd rather you take mid-range jump shots so you can fall in love with that jump shot. Because guess what? When you start missing, you're gonna want to get into the paint. And what the heck are you gonna do when we send 4 bodies down there and you can't even get in there? And to me, that's why I'm scared for Boston, because I know Jason Tatum is trying to do his Kobe stuff. I know Jaylen Brown is going to try to do his T-Mac stuff. All right. And are they very capable of making those shots? Absolutely. But also, They want you to do that. Jason Kidd is, to Johnny's point, he's seen y'all in 2003. Like he wasn't playing against Kobe and T-Mac and Paul Pierce in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2002. He knows what you like. He knows you want the 2-dribble elbow pull-up. You got to do something else. And to me, that's why if Dallas wins this series, it's going to be, I'm telling you, game one, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at how many bodies they send in the paint and how the Celtics respond because Dallas been killing lately.
That's a good one. Yeah. So, but I want so like how well has Boston done in the paint? So since we talked about they're a little more perimeter heavy than other teams, especially those two guys. Like, I'm curious. Like, how do you see them? How do you see Dallas kind of at least start out guarding them? Knowing that they want that shot, but then how is their inside game?
That Devaughn, that's a very good point. We've spent a lot of time on the coaching, and honestly, I love that. Again, that's one of the surprises. If I'm just on my soapbox for a second, that's what I love about this because I went into this episode like let's see how we touch on this, and this has been our longest segment so far. But I love it. I love it, Devaughn. That's actually a really great question because I understand what you're saying. Do you save that? What I just said. Do you save that for the fourth quarter? And you let them, you kind of spread your defense out, let them, see if they fall in love with the shot early. That's a good question, Devaughn. I wish I had like the stat or something for that. That's a good question.
Yeah, because part of me I was thinking too is like the big men matchup because they have Porzingis, they have Horford, Dallas. Who is up there right now? Who is
Lively and Gafford
and Lively and Gafford. So I'm curious about that matchup too. We've been talking about the guards, but I feel like that's going to be a determining factor as well.
Well, I'll say this, Devaughn. I'll say this. I think as the Celtics are able to stretch the floor, the Mavericks are going to get the lobs. It's like a balance there.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Dallas doesn't really have stretch bigs. I mean, obviously you could count Maxi Kleber, but it's like you could count PJ Washington, but Dallas is going to get a lot of lobs. I think Boston can benefit more from like pick and pop stretch 5 stuff than Dallas.
No, for sure, man. It's just I think in a way it depends when Porzingis comes back. Because I think Gafford can actually stand with Porzingis.
Me too.
He's young, he can move. So I think in a way, Horford may make Lively uncomfortable because I know Lively's not used to being outside of that box.
OG strength. He gonna put that bow in his back.
Horford will shoot a game if he's open.
Yeah, Vaughn.
Horford will shoot, and so it's gonna be interesting. I like you said. Game one, yes, the guards are going to go crazy, but how does the bigs play? And I think playing against Towns really helped, but I wonder how it's going to be, going to the East Coast and trying this out.
Yeah. We'll see, fellas. I think it's 2 intelligent and focused coaches. I'm excited to see, who outsmarts the other. You guys asked some very good questions there. I love how that discussion went. But weirdly enough, we're just getting started with our finals preview. There's definitely more to come. But first, Johnny, my man, why don't you give our listeners here a quick reminder of how they can support Hip to the Games?
Hey, Hitch to the Games merch. As a fan of Hip to the Games, I may have to say, YouTube TV, I wanted to do something special for y'all. As a fan of Hip to the Games, not only should you show your love to the podcast, but you got to express your love for basketball and hip-hop, man. Not only to the podcast, but to the merchandise with a variety of clothing and accessories. There's always a way to show how much you love the game of basketball. Not only just viewing the podcast, but just showing how the game of rap means to you. You have to represent. Let everyone know what it means to be hip to the game, okay? My brother got the hat on. I got the hat in here somewhere. I'm going to have to put the hat on now. But with Hip to the Games, by clicking the links in this episode's description, you can cop some merch. Represent Hip to the Game. Tag the team. Follow the socials and tag us. We'll repost it. But Hip to the Game. you better represent, and represent the lifestyle.
Let them know, King. Let them know, King. That's what I'm
And
talking
Johnny,
about. All right, fellas. Now let's talk matchups. We kind of alluded to this, so if y'all kind of want to cruise through this, that's fine. But I think the thing that's made Dallas effective defensively is that they have bigger wings in PJ Washington and Derek Jones to guard scores, right? I think it worked versus Ant Edwards, right? 6'5", 6'6" guy. Shea Gilgeous is a 6'5", kind of guy. Though when you put a 6'7", even 6'8", if you will, PJ Washington, Derek Jones on those guys, it shows. So I think they've done a really good job defensively. I think that said, though, unlike the Clippers, unlike OKC, unlike Minnesota, Dallas is going to have to worry about two guys that can drop 30 at any given moment. And that's no diss to, Harden. He had his couple games where he played really well, but like consistent, I'm at you, like two guys, Dallas hasn't seen that yet. And it will be hard for them to win games if Brown and Tatum are going off and Kyrie and Luka aren't. Likewise, Boston's going to have trouble if they don't lock in defensively, right? I think that's been their critique as well. As great as they are defensively, they don't always show up defensively. It's almost like they're on cruise control. They don't really care that much because they're thriving off talent or whatever. And I think because they've improved so much offensively, they do struggle a little bit defensively. Despite having some really good defenders on that team. So, like, how do you guys see maybe specific, say you want to take it as like individual matchups? How do you guys see some of those playing out?
I mean, I think we did talk about this a lot,
Yeah.
already, just segments. But if I had to just put it quickly, I think the 2-3 zone, playing the zone defense, and we're gonna really see who can shoot. And we're not talking about the 1-2 3-pointers. We're talking about the behind, 10 feet behind the line, because I think there's gonna be a lot of deep shot making this series.
Mm.
I truly do think so. And if that's the case,
Johnny, you think because the defense is going to extend that far? Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Like they're going to be
yeah,
forced to take okay, okay,
yes. I think the way that the Celtics are gonna play, they're gonna have Derek, and they're gonna have Drew probably switching right on top of the screen, right off those flare screens. And then the off-ball screens, probably just have Tatum and Brown just focus on PJ and Washington, PJ and Derek. So like in a way, I think it's going to be a lot of deep shot haymakers this series because they're going to feel uncomfortable when you get there. When you get there to the elbow, there's probably going to be two bodies waiting for you.
right,
So
yeah.
I think you might have to step back and shoot a three, just to, So honestly, so I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that. So I think just the point guard, shooting guard. I think that's going to be the primary focus. So I'm looking at Kai and Luka.
Got you, Devaughn. What say you? What say you?
yeah, that's a really good point, and I could definitely see that. And Kyrie and Luca are two of the best deep 3-point shot makers in the league. So to me, that's enough said. Like I feel like if there's anybody that's going to take advantage of that, it's right there. It's them
Okay,
two.
if you're Joe Mazulla, who are you putting on Luka?
The Angels.
You know, I don't think you put Drew on Luka.
I don't think
I think you put either Brown or Tatum because
Brown's got the strength on Luka.
yeah,
Luka got that fat boy spin like
yeah.
Baron Davis,
And so you may have to go Brown or Tatum. I say Tatum because of the length, but Brown can he has the athletic ability to stay with him and stand there the whole time.
He has a little more knuck if you buck, if you will.
Oh yeah. And so I don't think you go with Drew because I think Drew, looking at the type of point guards he's been guarding this series, he guards a lot of shifty point guards. And not saying that Luka is not, but when Kyrie's going in and out, behind the back, I feel more comfortable knowing that Drew is standing in front of him.
Correct.
My guess is either Jalen or Tatum.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm leaning. Jalen gets the one on Luka, and I think they'll put Drew on Kyrie. Tatum will guard PJ Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that where you at, Vaughn?
Yeah, that's fair. I agree. I would see curious to see how they play with switches too. Like I feel like that if you want to get creative, like I would like to see Luka and Kyrie kind of make them dizzy a little bit. go back and forth, play with them a little bit. Like, it's the playground. Make them, get them tired if you can. Kind of like Steph Curry. The way he be running off the ball. Overwhelm them with your presence, with them switches. Like have them have to work for it. To stop you.
And Devaughn, that's actually a great point because Johnny, y'all, I didn't even think about this. So does that mean because Dallas, they do run a lot of pick and roll? I mean, obviously the whole league does, but they really thrive off pick and roll. So would you rather start maybe Tatum on Luka, Jaylen Brown on Kyrie? So then when they get the switch, they'll put Drew Holiday in the middle. So then if he's like in a drop per se, he'll catch the switch on the ball handler. So then so if Luka and Kyrie are seeking the switch, it's gonna be Drew Holiday. They're gonna need another screen, waste another 5 seconds of the shot clock to get another screen to get Drew Holiday up. You see what I'm saying? A lot of teams put the weaker defender on the strong player. So then when they get the switch is the better defender. So
That's
it's
been
like
happening.
you're not worried about the first 10 seconds of the shot clock. You're worried about the last 10.
Makes sense.
That's a great.
See you, Des. That's a good analysis.
I didn't think about that. See, that's interesting. that like almost changes my whole answer now because I'm like, they might want Luka is such a mismatch seeker. Like he thrives off that. He wants to dance on Kristaps or Al Horford, right? But it's like they might turn that into Drew Holiday. Ooh, I don't know.
So do
Yeah.
you even think about maybe, I'm the type of person that look at just the matchups. Do you consider starting Oseo Brissett? The little power forward off the bench, the one who number 12, just so when those switches happen, they have someone who can run. Because
That's a nice chess piece to have. To me, he's almost like Derrick Jones. He's their Derrick Jones.
Yeah. I could see something like that if absolute necessary.
Yeah.
If they're feeling too overwhelmed, like you throw him in there, that's again kind of going back to point about, getting everything out of that sponge that you can get.
Yeah. If they're down 3-1, I'll probably want to see that.
Yeah.
But my only thing is that, like, if they were to bring out Tatum on Luka like that, I would feel like Luka would see that as barbecue chicken.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, he'll see barbecue chicken even if it's regular chicken.
Oh.
Very true, Dad. Very true. I forgot what we was talking about.
No, but I see what you're saying, though. He takes that challenge. He's that type of dude. Yeah. Luka be going at people like he don't care what your name is. He'll cross up the Pope. You know what I'm saying? Like okay, but y'all, in the finals, your role players mean everything. Everybody needs a Shane Battier. Everybody needs a Robert Ory. Everybody needs a Bruce Bowen. You know what I'm saying? Who has the better bench in this series?
Dallas. And the thing is, I don't even think Dallas's bench have been playing good this playoff series. I mean, Tim Hardaway.
Ooh.
Tell me, Tim Hardaway. We're studying someone that had a max contract in New York, went to Atlanta, went back to New York on a semi-max contract, been with Dallas. This is a person that we thought easily, does. We've been talking for years. He's easily a 13 to 15 point guy that we always thought, and we're seeing a lot of DMPs, 2-point performances in the finals. Maybe he's not fully healed from that injury.
I was going to say he was hurt.
But like Boston only plays about 7 deep. If it's not Peyton and Sam, we don't really see no, and that's what scares me. If fatigue comes into an option, Dallas don't mind sitting Kyrie and Luka for 3-4 minutes, but I don't know if Boston can afford that with their rotation.
Good point.
Well, do they sit Kyrie and Luka together at all? Is that what you mean, or like one at a time?
I thought they did a couple times, Johnny.
Yeah,
I might
yeah,
be tweaking, but I thought they did a couple times.
yeah. They stick them together, but how they've been doing it is to end the first quarter with 3 minutes left. Usually Kyrie goes out,
Kyrie, yeah,
start second. Boston tries to play them together. They don't like playing one on one because that's when the team usually make the runs. That's how the Pacers stayed in it. They were waiting for Tatum to go on the bench so Brown was out there. They were waiting for that. And so,
That's a good point, Johnny. They be doing that. But so like if they were both out, who is Dallas's primary ball handler?
Jaden Harvey, they've been playing them for the
they
last.
have, they have.
That was my answer. I think if he comes in and gives them an 8 a night, that's gonna throw Dallas off because that boy's been coming in. He's a 23-year-old little G League guy came in. He's been showing that he wants to play, and so I think Jaden Harvey, Dante can come in. Defensively, they need Dante.
Yeah,
Defensively need Dante, and they still have Dwight Powell. That's what people forget,
Yeah.
but they play Powell. But they still, I do think that Dallas trusts their bench more than Boston do because they know. Yeah, and that's the biggest for me. So I will say this: Boston has a talented bench. Not gonna knock that at all. But man, I don't know if they trust the ball in Sam Hauser's hand on top of the key.
No, I agree, Johnny. That's a really good point. I feel like that's what I'm saying, man. I feel like Boston, like sometimes there's so much reliance on Jalen and Jason, where it's like it kind of cripples them a little bit. When you're facing like potentially stronger opponents. So that would be another thing to watch for sure, and see if they learn that lesson from the Pacers series.
yeah. All right, y'all. So what is a strength and a weakness that you'll have your eyes on for each team? I'll start this. I'll start this real quick. I think for me, I think the biggest strength for Dallas is their pick and roll game. Because to me, it's like a cliche answer, like I said, like, but I think they remind me so much of the Rockets with Tony, Harden, CP, Capella, because they have two fantastic pick and roll ball handlers. That lob is going to be open 9 times out of 10. They're not just pick and roll ball handlers that can pass. They're pick and roll ball handlers that can score. So that 9 times out of 10, that lob is going to be there. Yeah. So 9 times out of 10, I think that lob is going to be there. It's like defenses are so focused on Luka and then Kyrie that they still got to be mindful of that third option, which is the lob to Gafford or Lively. The weakness, however, is that they tend to lose focus. I think one of y'all stressed that. I think it was you, Devaughn. Honestly, both of these teams be tripping. Like despite coming back, they were down 31 in Game 4 of that Clippers series. They fumbled a chance to go up 3-1 versus OKC at home. And you could even add that they lost Game 4 at home in a chance to sweep the T-Wolves. The Mavs don't always finish their breakfast, so to speak. So that scares me. And for Boston, their biggest strength to me, it's funny. We mentioned how it doesn't seem like they have a lot of depth, but at the same time, their depth is in their in those 7, they have a lot of depth. Does that make sense? In those 7 that they play, they do have a lot of depth, right? Like, if they can get a healthy Porzingis, right? Even though Drew Holiday hasn't had the greatest playoff offensive wise, that's still an all-star. Tatum and Brown are all-stars. Derek White could have been an all-star, right? Al Horford used to be an all-star, right? Like, high IQ veteran over there. This team is a little deep. And like I said, we talk about Sam Hauser's shooting ability, kind of like a Steve Novak, if you will. Peyton Pritchard is out there. The Celtics can be dangerous if they play it right. But like Dallas, they be playing with their food. And I think I said this earlier, they thrive off Celtic pride so much they get a little lazy and they play lackadaisical defense. It's almost just because. They settle for threes offensively. Some games are close when they shouldn't be. And I think we saw that versus Indiana. Shout out Indiana because they have a lot of depth and they mastered their playing style. But Boston shouldn't have had some of them close games, I think if the Celtics want to be champions this year, they can't fool around on either end of the floor. They got to be ready to play their best ball. That's my thoughts. But, what do you guys think as far as strength and weaknesses for each team?
I started off, Vaughn. I want to hear what you got to say, Vaughn. I got to hear your analysis.
All right, so I think for the Celtics, I do see you, Des. I think one strength is I feel like they might have a little more flexibility compared to Dallas. Because I think obviously you never want to see that, but I guess in a case where either Kyrie or Luca goes down, somebody is going to have to take that extra load, and that's why I asked about their primary ball handler, like when they're not on the floor, because then that person's going to have to step up. Whereas the Celtics, they have Drew, they have Derek White, they have Pritchard. They have a decent amount of guys who can all handle the ball.
Great point, Devaughn. Stressing on their versatility. That's been their MO since, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like Dallas doesn't really have that just yet, and that's what I'm concerned about them. This could be one of those cases, in the finals where just like a talented team, but maybe a slight bit of inexperience, a slight I don't want to say like hole in their roster, but a missing piece in their roster, might set them back, but could propel them moving forward. Um, and then, and I think the strength. I'm with you, Des. I think the lob threats are there. Kyrie and Luca's ability to both penetrate and stay out in the perimeter. Because in the playoffs and in the finals, you really got to be 3-level scorer shine, man. You got to be ready for everything. It's all about a bucket. You'll get those moments. But yeah, when the shot isn't falling, you definitely got to go in and get some easier ones. And I feel like Luka and Kyrie are no strangers to that kind of game. And whereas that leads me to my weaknesses about the Celtics, and going back to their perimeter game is Jason and Jalen. Sometimes I feel like as much as I like Jason Tatum's game, man, sometimes I feel like he relies a little bit too much on the 3-point shot, and it's almost sometimes when you're watching, he's literally shooting until the one goes in to give him the confidence that he needs. When sometimes it's just like, bro, you are 6'8". If you don't get in on that block, if you don't kind of get a little more fundamental and like kind of make it easier for yourself, see the ball go in a couple times, then come back out. I feel like that can help them a lot. Like, so if there's anything with the Celtics, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Jason and Jalen like settling for the three, because I feel like sometimes that's what hurt them even in the Miami series last season. They really settled for some shots they shouldn't have been taken in some really crunch time moments. So
Facts.
yeah, those are the things I'm looking out for both teams.
Got to keep it simple. I feel you, Vaughn. If I'm going to be specific too, Jason Tatum has a great spin move, in my opinion. I want to see that more. I want to see him getting his mid post Carmelo bag a little bit more. Get closer to the basket, especially Devaughn. You make a great point. Again, bro, it's how we came up playing the game, y'all. Like, if it's not falling outside, get inside. Find some rhythm inside. Get to the free throw line. Just see something go through the net. Whether it's a layup, in this era, everybody want to do the Kobe stuff. Everybody want to make the highlight. Everybody. And I was gonna mention this a little later too, but like, you know, being in the finals in Boston is like a big deal. And so you want to do what Kobe did. You want to do what Magic did. You want to do what Steph did. Like, but you got to let it come to you. So, Devaughn, I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that. Lots of things to keep our eyes on for this series. What will you be watching for? Don't forget to leave a comment or tweet the show at Hip to the Games to share your thoughts. All right. I got some heavy hitting questions, some heavy hitting last few questions for my guys next. But before that, Devaughn, please let them know how they can support their squad, whether their team is still alive or already looking at next year.
Yes, sir. The 2023-24 NBA season is just almost at its conclusion. We got the last two teams in the Celtics and the Mavericks. And even though we are just at the end, there was always time to cop the flyers and authentic merch to rep your squad. We got the draft coming up. If you don't support any of these teams, you can support your team any day, any time of the week. If you're looking for the ultimate destination for your gear to rep the home team, look no further than the NBA store. With an extensive selection of authentic and high quality products like jerseys, hats, accessories, the NBA store has everything you need to express yourself. Word to NWA. And with an online presence, it becomes even easier to shop anywhere in the world. So don't miss out on the latest trends and experiences. You can visit the NBA store today by clicking the affiliate link in the episode description. Hip to the Games is working in affiliation with the NBA store and will be compensated for your patronage by utilizing the link. So make sure you go ahead and do that. Rep your Hip to the Games merch, rep your favorite team, and thank you for all your support.
Let's get it. Look at me, man. I got some dogs on my squad, bro. I
Hey,
got some
hey,
dogs. Y'all killed that. Y'all.
before we jump into that, I'm just gonna give you a shout out, not the NBA store affiliate with that's huge. Keep doing your thing, Ken. Keep doing your thing.
Appreciate you, Johnny. Appreciate you, brother. Hey, that's a shout out to my 19 team, though, man.
Uh,
They make that stuff happen for me, so I'm always blessed and thankful for that. But as we moving towards the end here, y'all, I think we kind of hinted at this earlier, but like I just really want to get it set in stone here. Uh, what is one thing, and it could be anything, but what is one thing y'all really have y'all eyes on for this series? Like it could literally be anything, big or small. For example, for me, Dallas, I'm anxious to see how Luka handles his first finals, and then Kyrie being back in Boston. We talk about matchups. That's a matchup within itself, right? Like I said, few greats have won. If y'all even look at the history, very few greats have won on Boston's floor in the finals. Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Steph. That's really it. Moses Malone and the Sixers, or the Rockets, they almost did it in 1981. But if my memory serves me correct, that's really it. They, like I said, Moses almost did. But as far as guys who did, Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Steph, three of them dudes is Lakers. you know, so Luka and Kyrie have an opportunity to join that short list. It's hard to win in Boston, especially now because they haven't won in such a long time. They're not going to go down easy. So for them, I'm anxious to see how they do with this. And then for Boston, right, I'm anxious to see how they do with a second chance, because they're not always guaranteed in sports, let alone life. So, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been great. Entertaining duo for this Boston team and these fans. But the cherry on top is a championship. And like, I would hate to see them fail at winning a ring because, we always talk about like Lakers and their fans, how much they take pride in championships. Boston does too. And if this duo loses again, like that's going to be, I don't even want to say like sour or bitter, but it's going to be like nasty. Like I'm going to want to spit it back out. Like it's just like they're going to have some questions to answer in the offseason because they're going to have some questions to answer because like Boston associates themselves with championships, dog. Like you got to get it. You got to get it this year. But how are y'all feeling? How are y'all feeling? What are y'all eyes on?
I mean, I'm looking at responses, because Dallas is gonna get hit with a haymaker. I
Yeah.
don't think they'll walk in there and just go 2-0. No, they're gonna get hit going down 10-12. How do you respond to that in a loud crowd? Like you said, Boston is a hard arena to win in, man. I mean, players even talk about it until this day. Like, hey, we try to avoid playing in Boston. That the TD Garden, the Oracle Arena, those
Yeah.
arenas that they avoid. And probably attitude.
Ooh.
What I mean by that is I can only imagine that the news and the media. So I'm hoping that the players are not on media right now, but they're gonna try to blow up Kyrie. They're gonna try Luka. When he's not getting those calls, man, he has a tendency. Some people say that he cries a lot for calls. And I'm not saying he does, but what do you do when you're in the finals and they're not going to be calling that stuff? They let you play a little more ball in the finals. That's the one good thing about the NBA. So, how does the team respond to the physicality?
This is his Pau Gasol series. Ooh, I'm with you, Johnny. This is his Pau Gasol series. Are you going to get hit in your chin and get back up, or are you going to get hit in your chin and hit back?
Yes,
Yeah, I agree, Johnny. Very well said, man. I was going right there with the Luca and the calls and kind of
Mm,
handling that maturity. And that was another great point about the media, man. I feel like if there's any stage, you gotta really kind of keep yourself centered and like be true to who you are and kind of stay off anything that will distract you or keep you from showing up and playing your best because this definitely isn't the stage to turn around. So that was a good or this definitely isn't the stage to get distracted and fall into that trap. So that was a good point, Johnny. Um, but yeah, man, I would say for one, the Celtics, man, you made it in 2022, and after a strong start, you obviously you let that one slip. and then in 2023 you were a game away from making it, and now 2024 you're back. Like, I'm ready to see how Boston responds, and if they really kind of snatch this trophy, because it's an interesting matchup. It's a unique matchup,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they definitely have the talent to take it this time. And as you were saying, Des, that I feel like, man, if they don't do it, that them fans, man, they'll be disappointed.
It's
Like
a
they'll
long
be
summer. It would be a long summer ahead.
And then for the Mavericks, my thing also too is, we're mentioning like these past series. I feel like maybe at its best, Kyrie might have his Steph Curry moment. The way that Steph played in
Yeah.
2022,
I
against the
like
same.
that.
And I feel like this could be the series where maybe Kyrie is that big brother to Luka, and it's kind of like, hold on, little bro, like let me get this, like we got this. Don't trip, don't even trip. I'm right here, and we're here for a reason. And I feel like Kyrie has the chance to like have those big moments and really take over, and be Uncle Drew, really, and be the Kyrie Irving that we the player that we all have come to know and appreciate, through his years. So those are probably the biggest things I'm looking at.
Good point, Devaughn, because if you're paying attention, Kyrie's got that focus about him. Like, I really think he's been playing some of his best basketball, in my opinion, but I literally think you can tell he's been conserving for this series. So, Devaughn, I see you. Like, I really think he's due to erupt like crazy in this series.
For sure, for sure.
Now, y'all know we couldn't bring our annual playoff preview, but in spirit of that, knowing y'all are hip to the games, okay? Don't get mad at me because you knew it was coming. We gotta know y'all's theme songs for both teams. Now we know mine for Boston is "Many Men" by 50, right? And then for Dallas, I almost went with "Triumph" by the Woo. But I think I'm gonna go with "Can I Kick It" by A Tribe Called Quest, because to me that song gives like a why not energy to me, Can I kick it? Yes, you can, right? And if I'm thinking of Dallas, it's like, can I win it? Yes, we can. Can I win it? Yes, we
Mm.
can. So I kind of see that with Dallas. So those are my two theme songs. But what do y'all got for us today?
I'm gonna throw one off with you. All right. So let's see. With Boston,
Mhm.
I'm going 50 Cent 21 questions because I have 21 questions on how you guys gonna play this out. What Boston?
If I fell off
Hey,
tomorrow, would you still love me?
you know,
I see you, Johnny.
hey, I have 21 questions about how exactly you guys gonna do this because you haven't given us 21 reasons why you could win this championship. You know,
Wow.
and
In the
so
jaw. In the jaw.
and so hey, hit me back. Um, I when I think about Dallas, I'm thinking about "Amazing" by Kanye West and Young Jeezy, the one that they used
Nice.
the
Oh
2010
wait. Oh
promos.
wait.
Oh wait, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Hey, I was just watching that to get my spirit, with Kobe, the feeling. I'm just for some reason when I watch that video, you just see hard work and dedication.
Chills, bro.
That's the
Chills.
only way Dallas will win this series is by hard work and dedication.
Mm.
D3s, yeah, but no, you guys got to walk in the gym and say, "Hey, we're about to make history." You know,
I'm with it, Johnny. Good ones. Good ones. Let's go, brother Vaughn. I know that playlist is deep.
Man, so for the Celtics, honestly, like the first one that kind of popped in my head was "We Gonna Make It." I feel
Oh
like
wow.
this is the one. This is the one where I feel like they gotta do it this year. They gotta do it this year. I feel like it's kind of self-explanatory, and like if there was if they do it, like that is the song I would play for them. That's the song I would play for them because I feel like it's like celebratory. It's got that triumph. It's got that like and celebrating with your brothers. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
uh,
They
you know
trying to
they
make their bathtub lift up and walls do a 360. Get the stuff
don't
that the
say it.
government got. You know what I'm saying? I feel you,
okay,
Vaughn. I feel
okay.
you. I feel you. And mind you, that's what I had for Denver, and they ended up winning. That's all I'm saying. That's
Oh
all
my
I'm saying.
dang, dang. Yeah, but for Dallas, man, it's tough. I'm trying to sit here and think of one. It's like because they kind of had, you have that good mix of like that first time in with Luka. You got that experience with Kyrie, the experience with Jason Kidd, and then you got like some really young pieces and some like solid veteran, almost veteran like role players on that team. I don't really got one for you right now for Dallas. I'm trying to pick because like where I'm going, I'm trying to pick maybe like a more modern song than a throwback
Mm,
one.
okay.
Uh, so maybe like something from J. Cole.
Okay.
Blow up, maybe?
Maybe that would be a good one. That would be a good one. Rise and Shine, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Good one. That's a good one.
Because,
Yeah,
they
some,
haven't really been here before, but, Kyrie's been here before. It's kind of like everybody else got to get, you know what I'm saying, hit that next level.
or like I know I said modern, but or Victory, um, a song like that.
Oh, victory.
Diddy and
Yeah,
Diddy and them.
yeah, mm-hmm.
Hey, shout
uh,
out to, was it 2K13?
Yeah.
Victory.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But let's not use that one for
Obvious reasons. Yeah.
uh, but yeah, so something along those lines. Yeah, we could go with Rise and Shine. Maybe Rise and Shine and Blow Up for
And
Dallas
that's
too.
fair, Devaughn. It's time to rise and shine. It's straight to the point. You got to shine. You rose. Now you got to shine.
Mm, yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right. Time for the big one, fellas. Finish the sentence. The blank will win the 2024 NBA Finals in blank games. And who do you have for MVP? I got you. The Boston Celtics will win the 2024 NBA Finals in 6 games. And as much as I want it to be Tatum, I think it's Jaylen Brown, bro. Jaylen Brown will be the NBA Finals MVP. Boston wins in 6.
Okay.
I have
Dallas?
Dallas being the NBA champions, winning in 6. Winning in 6, and they're gonna have to take either game 1 or game 2
Mm.
at PD Garden. MVP. The thing is with MVP, bro, is it really by who is making the most shots or who's the most impactful? You
It's
know,
to me, it was always the second one. To me, it was always the second one. And you got me there, Johnny. I hate I hate that everybody just sees the person that got the best stats, and we were used to that for so long, right? Like
yeah,
that was our era. It was always the person with the best stats. So then when somebody comes around and was like, you know what, this person played good, but he really changed the series. Kawhi Leonard, Andre Iguodala, right? When those guys won it, it was that. And I feel like now when that happens, people get mad because they're like, oh, well, Jason Tatum, what about his legacy? What about his awards? What about his resume? He can get another one. but but continue, Johnny.
no, yeah, I'd say Finals MVP most likely Luka Doncic, but I wouldn't mind a little co MVP with him and Kyrie because I think either,
Whoa.
you
You
know,
think the
I
league would
wouldn't
do
mind.
that? You think the league would do it?
I I I,
Adam Silver, you
I,
gonna do that?
I Luka win it, but then in his speech he says he has to share this with Kyrie. That's what I could see
I
happening.
could see it. I could see it. Okay. Okay.
And I'm gonna go Dallas in 7, and
Ooh.
MVP goes to Kyrie.
Ooh. I like
Oh,
both of those. I like both of those because I could see both of them. If I picked Dallas, I'd probably pick Kyrie, but like at the end of the day, that's Luca, bro. You could go either way. You could go either way. I
I
like
wouldn't.
that though, Vaughn. 7 games.
I don't think Luka cares if he's not Finals MVP or not. I
Same.
think he'd rather have a chip. To be honest with you, so
I agree. And just what you were saying about his time in Spain. He's won. He wants to do it on in the league now. Like you don't go through all. You don't love the game. You don't come up playing like just to like. It's not all about the individual accolades. Like come on, like I worked to this point. Like I'm trying to win the big one. Then I can go to sleep. Then I can go to sleep. Like yeah, man, I'm with you.
Oh boy. Well, there we have it, gentlemen. That's a wrap for year 4. I certainly hope you enjoyed our NBA Finals preview and are ready to see how it all unfolds. I want to thank my guys once again for coming back and sharing your thoughts and knowledge, even if it looked a little different this year. Please, if you leave a comment for Hip to the Games and a review and all that, that is always appreciated. But please, while you're at it, show some love. Let Johnny, let Devaughn know they did a good job. You know what I'm saying? They take some time out of their schedules to come on the pod, especially now we're adults with responsibilities, so we can't always just snap the finger and get together. But these guys do a good job. They read some ads for your boy today. Like, let them know, show them some love. Let them know that y'all want him back and y'all want to see him more often. But I appreciate y'all. You already know, making it work and everything like that. Of course, I genuinely want to thank you, our listener here, for tuning in. Be sure to be on the lookout for these thoughts, predictions, and see how everything unfolds. Definitely be sure to share your own with us by hitting up any of the socials. You can hit up at Hip to the Games on Twitter or Instagram. If you would like to tweet us directly, you can hit me at Desmond Powell _. You got at Johnny _world 22 and at Devaughn, not Devaughn. All right. On Twitter, it's no N, DEVAUGH McDonald on Twitter. You could tweet us all. Let us know. Show some love. Show your thoughts on anything discussed. But in the meantime, whether or not you got a dog in the fight, it's time that we sit back and enjoy these finals. All right. And lastly, I thank you so much for listening all for the love of the best combo there is. Any thoughts from y'all before we head out of here?
Hey, it's been a good season. Shout out to Hip to the Games. Shout out, just say, I would say enjoy the ride, and we'll be back. So to all the media, to everyone, appreciate you clicking in. But once again, stay safe. But we'll be back.
Say that then. Vaughn, you got anything, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm right with Johnny, man. Always a pleasure to be on this. Have a good time and just do what we do. Every day.
Always.
And just all for the love of the game. Celebrating it, analyzing it, talking about it, discussing it, debate. Whatever it is. It's the one of the reasons why the NBA is so great, and why we love what we do, and why we are thankful for all that you do, Des, and the platform that you have. So yeah, man, you keep it going. You got a really special, great thing, and man, it's just a blessing to even be a part of, man, in any way. So thanks again, man.
Sure.
Always. There it is before I start crying. All right, there it is, y'all. Hip to the Games. Peace out, and God bless as always. I knew that was coming. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Hip to the Games. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit up the socials at Desmond Powell _ and at Hip to the Games on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok so you don't miss out on the fun. And please follow or subscribe to the show and leave a review on the podcast platform you're on right now, as your support is greatly appreciated.